This is Phil Golfi with Remax the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Stephanie Vivier and special guest Devin from Land Art Landscaping.
Well, welcome, Phil, and welcome, Devin. Excited to get to know Devin a little bit more, and great to have you back on the show, Phil.
Yes, our second show together. I am back in the hot seat. Rob is away on special assignment. I actually don't know where he is or what he's doing, but he sent me a text last night, and he said, "Hey, I need you to hop on the show with Steph, and you got to cover me." So here I am on duty, and let's have a great show.
We're going to have a great show. You know what? Maybe, Phil, here's just some speculation on my part. I don't know if you saw this, but I know how Rob feels about Niagara Falls, very near and dear to him. And they had a 1.8 meter steel Christmas tree go missing from the Niagara Falls sign.
Oh my goodness.
He put out on social media, like, we got to find this thing. And so my conspiracy theory is that Rob is off trying to solve this investigation. He's trying to figure out where this Christmas tree went and save Christmas.
That's crazy. I mean, who's taking that and where are they now? And hopefully we don't have a Grinch that's trying to steal Christmas from us, and everything is fine and dandy. We get our Christmas tree back. But I know Jim Diodati. Our families know him. We're family friends, and he's a boots on the ground type of guy. And I think he's gonna bring this to an end and find that lovely Christmas tree.
I think so. If anyone can solve it, we know that it is Mayor Diodati. All right, let's get into what we're here to talk about, Phil, and that, of course, is the real estate market. There's been lots of chatter because of some interest rate cuts. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But what's happening now in real estate this week?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, this time of year is when we get into it's not a traditional real estate market. Oftentimes, if people were looking at buying, they put their plans on hold for the holidays, and we start to have those conversations about, hey, is it a good time to sell right now and put our house up for sale because we really want to sell still, or should we wait to the new year? So we're having a lot of those types of conversations. But personally, I've been lucky. I do have active buyers that I'm working with right now. Right before we got on the show, I was discussing details of a specific offer on a property that I'm working on in Hamilton, of this newlywed couple that's buying their first home together, and they're super excited to get into the market, and their main position is they want to get into the market now. In case in the new year, if interest rates are going to continue to drop and prices might go up, and so they just want to bridge that gap. And they have a little bit of FOMO on the real estate market, and they're just have that little tidbit of being afraid of the market running away from them. So they see it as a good opportunity to hop in now. We're able to negotiate conditions such as financing and home inspection, so they have a little bit more time. And it's just so important for a first-time home buyer to take their time and have these types of conditions in their agreement and feel 100% comfortable in taking that time to decide if this is the right home for them. So it's a great market for a first-time buyer who's looking to dip their toe in. And we've been looking for a while. I think we've seen 20 plus homes with this particular couple, which is a lot. So they have a good idea of what they like and what they don't like, and the area that they want to be. And I think today we're going to finally pull trigger on a certain specific property that they both decided on. So, the market is still moving. It's not, like I said, it's not the fast pace of a spring market. The listings are far and few between, but there's still opportunities out there, and there's still a lot of people looking, that haven't put their plans on hold. So it's a super interesting market as we get through the holiday season. One of the things that people always ask us, and this is a normal question I always get, is should I decorate the house? I'm thinking about selling and I want to put my Christmas decorations up. Should I decorate them? And I always say yes. I say yes every single time. I say, put the decorations up. We'll shoot and market the house with the decorations because it looks great. And, you know, a lot of people have really nice decorations. And then if the property doesn't sell, we're going to come back and shoot it again without the decorations. When you're selling, you're still living in the house. You don't want to be, you know, you still want your house to be comfortable. You still want to enjoy Christmas. You still want to enjoy your family time, and you're still able to sell during that time. It's not, you don't have to put your life plans on hold to put your house up for sale. You got to be a little bit more diligent and just, you know, keeping the place tidy and cleaning up and doing all those good things about, you know, when it comes to selling, but don't put your life on hold. Don't, you know, get rid of all your furniture and don't enjoy, you know, and so that's, you know, my main message. One of my main messages to people that are thinking about selling during the holiday season is decorate your house. We would still shoot it with the decorations, and in the event that the property doesn't sell within, you know, the Christmas or holiday season, we would come back and shoot it with the, you know, the decorations being down. So that's what's happening. But in regards to the market, it's like I said, it's a quiet time of year. There's not a lot of new active listings. And some of the buyer pools have shrunk, but it's balanced. It's traditional. And you know, things have flattened in terms of pricing. And days on market have increased. So we're moving along. But it's not that fast paced market that we're used to in some of the other months of the year.
That's some great advice right there, Phil, when it comes to the Christmas decorations. There's something so magical about this time of year. And it would be odd to walk into a house and not, you know, feel that decor. Some value there too with the Golfi team, you know, being willing to go out and shoot it twice. Not everyone's going to do that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're lucky that we have a in-house marketing team with photographers, videographers, stagers, and, you know, people that are in graphic design, and, you know, we're able to do a lot more than the traditional, you know, single real estate agent or even the traditional small real estate team. So we're extremely lucky. We understand the importance of marketing and being able to put the home and show it in its best, you know, position and value. And in the end, it's about attracting the most amount of buyers, and that's how we get people the highest sale price. So it's a home selling system that's worked for, you know, for as long as my dad's been in the business and now me. And it's something that we you know, like I said, it's about putting the home on a pedestal to attract the most buyers and bring the buyer pools to those listings. And if it's shooting the house and during the holidays, and you know, in the end, it comes back to client experience, right? It's, you know, in terms of they're still able to experience and live the life that they want to live and enjoy the holidays, and we're still able to market the house. And you got to have that balance of selling your home. And we work with a lot of sellers in a lot of different positions who you know, who will say, you know, what's important to them and why it's important. And I just listed a new property in Grimsby on Book Road, and we had this exact conversation. And she said, Phil, I really love Christmas. My grandchildren come visit me every single year for Christmas. They love all my little Christmas decorations and the dancing Snoopy and the dancing Santa Claus and all those little fun things. And I said, put them out, enjoy Christmas. We're going to shoot it with all the Christmas decorations, and then in the new year, if we haven't sold yet, we're going to come back and reshoot it. So it's just the little things that you know, we're committed to in terms of providing that client experience, and hopefully it sells, right? Hopefully it sells before the holidays or during the holidays, and away we go. So you know, we'll keep it going.
All right. One of the things we love here on the Golfi Real Estate Show is that we get to hear stories, real world stories from your time in real estate. And there are no shortage of those. And you've got one for us about a vacant home.
Yeah. So it's a difficult story. It's a sad story. And you know, it's, but I'm happy to share. So there was this property in Grimsby, and I was working with first time home buyers. It's a very young couple. Great people. And they were looking for something that was under the $550,000 mark, and they wanted it detached, small yard. So it was a very unique, difficult product to find. And in this price range, you know, the house would need a ton of work. But one of the one of the buyer's dads was a a contractor, very, very good contractor. So they weren't afraid of it. They were going to fix it up and so on. And so when the property first came up for sale, it was completely vacant. There was no one living there. The sellers were out of town, and it was some type of estate sale, or one of the parties had moved on to a retirement home or something along those lines. But the property had furniture in it, but it was completely vacant. You can tell there was nothing in the fridge. There was no clothes in the house, etc. So the property was only on the market for about 4 or 5 days, and we put in an offer. We were in competition. We put in an offer, and we won. And when we we had about a 2.5 month closing, so we went back for a viewing, and we're like, well, this is weird. Like, there's someone living in here now. So who's living in here, and why isn't the property vacant? And you could just tell there were, you could just tell the fridge was full. There's, stuff on the counter. You can tell that the property was being lived in. And so I reached out to the other real estate agent, and I said, hey, listen, what's the thing? What's the deal here? We thought the house was vacant, but there's someone living there. And he said, yeah, they're just helping a family friend out, needs a place to stay for the time being, and but they're going to leave on closing. So he said, okay, nothing to think of it here. That's fine. Completely normal. So we get closer to the closing date, and we go through another walkthrough. And this is one of our things we always harp on, is always do a walkthrough before closing. Never not do this. And so it's like 4 days before, and it was always in the back of my mind. Something felt way wrong about this. And so we go in again, and there's this guy in there who's basically saying he's not leaving. He's like, I'm not leaving. You can go call whoever you want, but you're going to have to go get the courts to get me out. And he's in the house while I'm in the house with him. It's just him and I. And I told my clients to wait out front. Their parents are there. They're waiting out front with them. And I'm like confronted with this man who's telling me to, explicit terms and swearing at me and telling me to go do that and whatever, right? And so I said, what's going on? So what had happened is the family who owned this property wanted to help a family friend out who didn't have a place to stay, might have been on the streets, and they opened up their doors to him, let him stay with the agreement that he would leave by a certain date because the house is sold. And so now we're getting ready to move in, and we hadn't closed on the deal, but we're getting ready, right? We're a couple days away from closing, and this person's saying he's not leaving. Oh, and so it was a complete debacle. I felt so sorry for my buyers. And then what happened next, I went back to the other real estate agent. We got the lawyers involved. And long story short, we said, we're not buying the house anymore. We won out of the deal. You're in breach of contract because the house isn't vacant on possession. And there had been damage done to the house since the occupant was living there. And so we vacated the deal. We got out of the deal, and we moved on. And, it was super disappointing, but there's a few lessons here. It's like if you're going to open up your house and bring someone in, there has to be an agreement, or I don't know. It's such a tough situation. It's you want to be that kind family to let bring someone in and put a roof over their head, but in the end it was just such a debacle, and kind of uprooted my buyers' lives for a few months. And they were getting ready for this dream home that they had purchased, and they kind of got it pulled out from underneath them. But in the end, we moved on, and we went and bought another property. So we're actually conditional on a property in Beamsville right now. We have the home inspection today. It's another vacant property, but there's no one living in there, which is amazing. And they're super happy with it. So, but it's just the craziest things you see, when you're in this business, and who you're working with and how you're working with them. It's, but that's just another story to add to the list of many.
Well, had you not done that walkthrough, then they would have closed. They would have had to be dealing with this person who, as I understand, it's, we hear possessions 9/10 of the law or whatever it is, right? It would be very difficult to get him out. So you really saved your buyers there by doing that walkthrough. We are in the Golfi Real Estate Show today. Phil Golfi is our guest, and coming up in just a little bit, Devin from Land Art Landscaping also going to be joining the show. You can get a hold of the Golfi team at 905-641-0308, robgolfi.com. Stick around. Phil's going to be here with us more next on News Talk 610 CKTV. Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier, and with us today, Phil Golfi with Remax, the Golfi team. And Phil, of course, it's not just you. You've brought along a guest with you today.
That's right. Yeah, Devin from Land Art.
Landscaping. Look at that. We're saying it all together.
Yeah, so we've known Devin now for a few years. We've collaborated on a few projects. They do amazing work and they run an amazing business. So we wanted to bring Devin on and just talk about, the ins and outs of his business combined with, best practices and how he can help people in terms of, what's going on this year and how to get prepared for next year. So it's my pleasure to introduce Devin to the show. Thanks for being on the show, Devin.
Excellent. Thank you very much for having me this morning.
So, in regard to, your business and Land Art, what do they do and what do you guys specialize in?
Excellent. Yeah. So, my background is actually landscape architecture. So I work with all of our clients from day one, when they're looking to renovate their home or build a landscape project. We're a full service design build company based out of Beamsville. So we service all of Niagara. And yeah, we kind of build full outdoor patio spaces, outdoor living structures, and full home renovations as well.
Awesome. That's amazing. Good for you. And so how, as we look toward 2025, and maybe somebody, sitting at home right now over the winter holidays, they start looking at their property or their backyard and they're just dreaming of a backyard oasis, or there's always this one project that they wanted to get to and they have this vision for. I guess it's, how to get started and where to get started and what's your advice for people who want, kind of have this itch that they want to scratch and in terms of working on their house.
Absolutely.
Just before he answers, and I will cut this out, can we get him either closer to the mic or his mic up a little bit?
Yeah.
That better?
All right. Okay, so go ahead and answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely. This is perfect time of year to, as you're home for the holidays, thinking about the different things that you might be wanting to do around the house. We always say January is a great time to reach out to a contractor or a designer, start getting some plans in place. Usually takes a couple of months anyways to build out the design plans, get the different permits for your project, and then that allows the builder or the contractor to kind of plan appropriately the labor and materials for the summer and the fall. So getting ahead of the game is always a good thing to do. A lot of times we get questions. I know a lot of costs have gone up in the last couple of years. We're seeing that costs have pretty well stabilized, which is really exciting. You can have a lot more consistency in what you're expecting for the cost of your project. But yeah, now's the time to start thinking about projects for 2025.
And what would you say are the most popular projects that you guys are getting calls in? What's kind of the main focus or what most people want in when it comes to improving their yards?
Absolutely, yeah. Inside out is the way that we're thinking about a lot of projects. So connecting the home, the kitchen, the main living areas, the windows and doors to the outdoors, and then 3-season covered structures where you can spend time out early in the year in March and April, right through the summer. Different things to extend the season into the fall between heaters and drop screens and fireplaces to really extend your season. Right from the beginning of the spring right through into the fall. Sunrooms, those types of projects, people are making the most of their outdoor spaces.
Yeah, and I always, even when it comes to home building, right? I always talk about it's so important to get the design right. And that, that always starts at the beginning is hiring a top designer, hiring somebody who's extremely knowledgeable, who's worked on a number of different designs before. But just talk about even in your space when it comes to landscaping, combined with the design of that inside to out house, but the importance of getting a designer and then the ability to even make that design come to life even before the project starts and with 3D renderings.
Absolutely. There's a few different things to keep in mind there. Yeah, bringing in a design team opens up the possibilities that you might never have thought about before. They work closely with you to get the right solution, the best solution for your problems and your ideas. But yeah, being able to take a space and put together a 3D rendering, a 3D walkthrough video to see how all these things are going to look even before any sort of equipment or work starts on the project. Being able to try different ideas, see it in context, and see what the sun's going to do, see what the shade looks like in different spaces, the actual materials before you can make really good informed decisions.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then let's talk about budgets, right? Obviously, you work on a number of different projects, all kinds of different budgets, whether it's somebody in the residential side or even up toward the commercial side. What type of budgets do you work with, and who do you cater to in terms of budget and lifestyle, and give somebody an idea in terms of what they're getting into with budget wise.
Yeah, it really depends on the feature list that you're looking to include in a project like this. Sometimes I kind of refer to it as a percentage of the value of your home. We see clients spending anywhere from maybe 10-15% of the value, and that would give you a really good solid base. So good patios, nice gardens, driveway, front entrances, and things like that.
Wow.
Up to 35-40% of the value of the home to get into things like accessory buildings, pool houses, pools. So kind of as a function of the value of the home is a good way to think about it.
And then in terms of, financing options, I know, we saw through COVID and the pandemic where we were, a lot of us were stuck in our homes, and one of the main focuses was if I'm going to, if this is going to be, the term that we always use, the new normal, I want to make my new normal more comfortable, and I want to create a space that's inviting and comfortable, and do a project that I love to enjoy. And we saw the backyard pools become popular. We saw the home offices, get added to houses. We saw a lot of those home improvements just through, just due to the lifestyle that we're living. For you, like in terms of that, what are some other things that people are doing today
In terms of financing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll often work quite closely with a realtor on the front end, where we'll come into a property, give an initial proposal, give some budget ranges of what these improvements would do to the property, and then the realtor will assess that plan and say that these are kind of some of the value adds that's going to bring to the property. Here's our new home value, and then you can use that as a tool to get financing for the project.
Yeah. In terms of just like many people just would refinance their home or pay cash, or are there financing options through Landart, or is it mostly through just the traditional banks?
It'd be either through traditional refinancing or quite often these are properties where a client is either downsizing, or this is their forever retirement home and they want to make it something special. So they've come with a lot of equity to the property and they're ready to make some investments.
Yeah. And one of the things that I see often is people love where they live, right? Everyone, if you grew up in a certain neighborhood, you get along with your neighbors, you love the area that you live, but it just doesn't have that. Maybe you need a bigger house, or maybe you're looking for a different style of home. And so we often see people contemplate this, should I go buy, should I sell and go buy, or should I renovate? And there's always so many people kind of juggling that what should I do? And I'm sure you meet with a lot of people who are juggling that question, because I meet with them too. It's like, hey, what does selling and buying a new house look like, and also what does staying here and renovating look like? And what's your advice for people that are might be contemplating that question right now?
Yeah, my advice is get an opinion on what can we do with this property. If you love your neighborhood, if you love the area you're in, there's potential in the neighborhood for kind of continued growth and continued investment, then get an opinion from a designer, from a contractor. How much is a project like what you're thinking to achieve the goals that you're looking for going to cost? Get an opinion on that, and then weigh that against how much the dream home would cost. And moving always going to come with different expenses and costs to transfer to a new home, versus all of that going right back into the home, maintaining the value in the home, maintaining the equity in the home. If it's a 10-year, 15-year plan to be in that property, renovating often makes sense.
Absolutely.
I have a question, Devin, if I can jump in here. This is exactly the situation we're in at my home. And we live in one of those neighborhoods where it's like every house kind of looks the same. And that bums me out when I come up to the house, but I love the location and I love the neighborhood. So we've been thinking, do something maybe in the front yard to make it be a little bit different. When you come to give some options for people, do they need to know what they want? Are you guys good at making suggestions? And do you charge for that and then take it off if they're doing the project? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, so we never charge for an initial consultation. So we come out, we hear what your gripes are, what you like, what you don't like about the current space, and we're going to show you inspiration pictures, things we might have done before, or kind of open it wide open to the Pinterest world and get your ideas there. And then we'll come back to you with proposals and ideas and budget ranges for some of those ideas, and you can take those and see what might make sense. But yes, we're completely coming with new and creative ideas that you probably never thought about before.
That's good, because I'm not, like, if I knew what to do, I probably would have done it already. It's just like, I don't know. So I love that you guys are ready to do that for us.
Yeah, and speaking for me, it's like, I have all these other little projects around my house that I want to get to, but it's like, one project's going to lead to another project, and then it's like the priority list of like, what do I want to tackle first? And that's my problem. We've met about it. It's like, this is my vision, this is my idea. I don't want to do it all at once. I'm not into that. I want to start to pick away at it. And you highlighted and kind of created this, or talked about creating this plan. It's like, okay, well, give me all your ideas, and then we'll do them in phases of what you're comfortable with, and just speak to that and I know there's a lot of people out there who can overwhelm themselves. It's like, hey, I want to do everything, and then the worst part about that is, guess what, you don't do anything when you want to do it all. So it's kind of creating a 4-phase, a 5, even a 6-phase plan in terms of you start to pick away at a project every season or every year, and then in the end, it's a beautiful home. But I'll let you speak to that, but it reminded me of something when I said that, is people have these houses that are just never ending, right? they're just constant renovation projects that go on forever. I feel like I'm one of those people, but just speak to creating those plans for people that are in similar positions.
Yeah, the vast majority of our projects are phased. We hear them, we see what property and the home is already, and build out a master plan for that project. So let's put all the ideas down on paper, let's get pricing on everything, let's get details on everything, and then kind of break it down step by step. What makes sense year 1, what makes sense year 2, not undoing or redoing things. That's kind of people's worst nightmare sometimes, is, we just did a project and now we got to take it down again. Putting together a long-term relationship and a long-term approach to a project. That's how we work with a lot of our clients.
That's amazing. Stephanie, anything else?
Yeah, no, I love that you brought him on, Phil, because I think this time of year it's difficult. I don't know how everybody else's relationships are, but like, my husband has me, so he has everything, right? So it's a good time of year, like maybe give this to each other as a gift, right? That you want to enjoy your home more, or, if you are looking at moving, like what a great time of year to start dreaming. It's coming up on the new year. So to dream about what's happening in the new year. Are you guys busy this time of year, Devin?
This time, like December is quite a slow month for us, probably similar to the real estate industry. It's people are kind of getting ready for the holidays. They don't want to start new conversations. But January, basically January 1st is the phones start opening up, and people have been sitting at home. They want to get a project done. And so it's great to kind of get ahead of the game and kind of book in some of that design time early in the year, and it usually takes 2-3 months to get designs in place and then permits from there.
Okay, so do it now because they're quiet. So we'll answer your call and follow them on Instagram. I was just scrolling through your Instagram, just beautiful, beautiful stuff there. You'll definitely get inspired. Devin, what area do you guys cover?
So our office is in Beamsville, and we service everywhere from Niagara Falls right through to Burlington and just into Oakville.
All right, fantastic. Devin from Land Art Landscaping, thank you so much for being here, renovation and landscape contractors. You're listening to the Golfi Real Estate Show. Phil Golfi is here. He's going to stick around. We've got more next here on News Talk 610. Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier, and Phil Golfi is with us with the RE/MAX Golfi team. Phil, you brought along with you today Devin from Land Art Landscaping, and of course now I am renovating my house in my mind, or perhaps I might move, because we got some big announcement this week from the Bank of Canada. So they cut the key interest rate by 50 basis points. This is the second 50 basis points and the fifth cut in a row from the Bank of Canada. Many reasons for that. Now, you started by telling us that, the market's a little flat, but this is a good time for those first-time home buyers to really take their time, see what's out there on the market. What are you thinking is going to happen now that this big cut has come and we're at 3.25%?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a number of big cuts. I feel like 2024 was like the year of interest rate cuts. That's all we were looking forward to. We were battling this high inflation all year, and then finally, right in the latter months of November, December, we finally got it under control. And now we're battling this thing called unemployment, and our unemployment rate just continues to climb. I think it was upwards of 6.8% as of recently, and now this Canadian dollar is just diving on us. So it's it was super interesting. In 2024, we started at 5% in terms of our overnight rate from the Bank of Canada, and we saw our first rate reduction in May, another which was 25%, 25 basis points, another one in July, another one in September, and then we went into 50% in October, and then 50 basis points again in December. So we've climbed our way down from the beginning of 2024 at 5% all the way down to 3.75. Now, we're going to get into a market here where we're not going to see the interest rate rapidly decline as fast as we saw it decline in 2024. We're going to start to see more interest rate holds depending on how the market's doing, where the inflation rate goes, what happens to unemployment. But the major, it's like, where are we going to end up and get that flat interest rate that we saw for a number of years through 2017, 2018, and just more of a predictable level of an interest rate. So we don't all have to be on pins and needles and worrying about where our payments are going to go and what's going to happen with our mortgage payments. So a lot of people are predicting by the end of 2026, we're going to be at 2.5 or 2.75 in terms of an overnight rate. So from where we are now in terms of 2020 to the end of 2026, we're going to see changes, but we're not going to see those dramatic 50 basis point drops like we saw in the last 2 months. So we're getting there. We're not there yet, but this is a really good sign, especially for people who, were on those variable mortgages that, they signed at 1.5% or 2% and then just saw them take off and go through the roof and get upwards of 7 and 8% and saw their payments rise rapidly. I mean, that was a huge issue in terms of our market where these payments, increase so rapidly, they become unaffordable for people that were carrying big mortgage amounts. So that's where we're at. It's super interesting. Now, BMO Financial Group did a study, and they said 71% of would-be first-time home buyers put their home buying plans on hold to see interest rates drop, meaning that they're going to come to the market in 2025, or they said they would, just due to reduced interest rates. We're going to get that group of buyers, right? The first-time home buyer will be back in the market in 2025. The investor and the first-time investor will be back in the market in 2025. So we're going to see a lot more movement in the real estate market next year in comparison to 2024. We're going to see a lot more people. We're going to see a lot more sales. We're going to see a lot more people moving who had put their move on hold. There's a lot of houses that came up on the market this year and did not sell. Those houses are coming back next year for sale. There's going to be a lot of new sellers that are going to be coming to the market next year. We're in a different sort of time right now in terms of what's going on with housing. Housing starts are way down, like the lowest they've ever been. We have a province, we have governments that are saying that we need to build houses faster, we need to build more homes, but unfortunately that's not translating to the municipal governments. There's still a ton of red tape, and I know Devin can speak to this, and we always talk about this. The amount of time it takes to get permits and the red tape around developments today is astronomical, that it's just so hard to build houses faster and at the rapid pace that we need them to keep up with the new immigrants that are coming to Canada. So I always say this, and I feel like I say it every year, and maybe it's just true. I always say we're in this transitional year that absolutely nobody can predict. We don't know what's going to happen next year, but all the major forecasts are pointing towards increased sales. We're going to see a slight increase in terms of average sale price. That's going to take a jump up. There was a national report that came out. It said it could be as high as 10% in some areas, but in your Niagara market or your Greater Toronto Hamilton area, it's not. I don't believe it's going to be that high. But it's interest rates was the name of the topic in 2024. It's all we talked about, and they're finally down to, I guess, what I would call a moderate level. I know, there's a bunch of older people that are punching their steering wheel right now and saying, well, when I first bought my house, I paid 18.5%, and the early 90s this, and my dad always talks about it. So, but for my generation, I'm 31 years old. For my generation, a 6.5% or 7% interest rate is freaking high for us. And so if once we get it down, and you can get a fixed 5-year fixed rate mortgage right now for well under 5%. So 5-year fixed rate mortgages are going for 4.6 to 4.75%, would be a competitive rate right now as it stands today. So super exciting stuff in our market. And I went on a little bit of a rant there, but that's a synopsis in terms of what's going on with interest rates.
Well, there's so much about it. And just like you said, Phil, it's really been the story of 2024. Even if people weren't moving, like it really just came up in conversation so much. And I know through the Golfi Real Estate Show, you and Rob are going to continue to update us as we go on this frontier, this wild ride of whatever 2025 is going to be. Let's talk scams. I get scams bother me so much, Phil. I am constantly the one on the phone calling my older relatives about, different Facebook scams and the grandparent scams and all of those kinds of things.
The Taylor Swift scam, the ticket scam, everything. And then it's crazy. And then we got to put up with the porch pirates and the people running around to different porches and stealing gifts. What's going on?
Just absolutely brutal. And now you're telling me there's a real estate scam we got to watch for.
Yeah, this is, we've had a few scams or a number of scams that have kind of been highlighted in the news and kind of come across our news feeds. But it's more so, it's not necessarily on the, the buyer or seller themselves. But what people are trying to do is it's almost like a phishing scam where, they'll be in an email of someone, and then as soon as you give the instructions to go deliver a deposit check or go deliver a bank draft, and give you the account information. They'll pop in and change and act as if they're you and change the account information. So you're putting it into the wrong account. It's just unbelievable, the amount of protection and the amount of how careful you have to be, especially when it comes to checks and money. And it just feels like you got to be so careful. We had one for our business where somebody replicated another business that we worked very closely with, and basically acted like them, mimicked them from emails to websites to everything. And they were emailing us and saying, hey, we need a check now. You owe us X amount of dollars. This is the account. And we're so lucky that we caught it. Like, we were ready to print the check. We printed the check. We were about to deliver, and we caught it right at the last minute. And recognized, like, hey, this is a scam. Like, and we were just so close to putting the check in the wrong account, and then that money's gone forever. So it's something that we got to be so diligent and so careful, and almost have like our own there's that two-factor authentication that all our social media websites are gearing towards. We almost have to have that for ourselves, and being able to protect ourselves out there against these scammers, for lack of better terms, who have no place in our society, who are targeting older people, and targeting vulnerable people, and it's just so sad and disappointing to see people get money stolen from them from a criminal, and the penalties for these scammers have to be way harsher and way bigger for people that are out there doing this. It's just not good.
Oh, they're targeting the older people and the Swifties.
Yeah, protect the Swifties. Protect the Swifties.
All costs, indeed. When I was mentioning, do I renovate, do I move? Like you said, a lot of people are always considering that. So I do find myself searching through the listings that you guys have on the Golfi website, and I'm always looking for those waterfront properties, right? They've become so appealing over the last few years. Everyone wants to live on the water, and we're so lucky to be right here in the middle of two Great Lakes. But maybe living on the water, not all it's cracked up to be. There's other things people should consider.
Yeah, I mean, the waterfront comes with its risks, right? I'm sure Devin has worked on a number of waterfront properties and replacing break walls or putting in new break walls and things of that nature. It's just the insurance companies are giving you such a harder time when it comes to insuring those properties, and groundwater insurance, meaning water that enters your property from the ground, from outside. And I was working on a property in Thorold, and it was in a floodplain, and we were in the conditional offer agreement, and my client came to me and she said, Phil, I'm really having a hard time getting insurance. I've been declined by a few insurance companies for groundwater insurance. And I said, that's strange. Like I it should be, I've never really kind of worked on this before, especially for a property that there's hundreds of properties around it. I was like, there has to be a way to get insurance. They ended up finding insurance, but there's the rules and regulations, and the insurance companies have tightened up and became so much more strict when it comes to protecting homes around rivers, bodies of water, lakes, etc. It's the added cost of living. Not there wasn't already an added cost from taxes and maintenance, but there's this other added cost of insurance that is now added to living on the water or living near a body of water. So the insurance companies have tightened up, and it's just something to be mindful of. If you're going to buy a property that's waterfront, lakefront, wherever, near a river, near a floodplain, make sure that you go and price out the insurance cost before you go firm on the agreement, because this might be something that will alter your decision or help you make a decision if you are considering purchasing a waterfront property.
That's probably good advice for any home, because there are different reasons, right, that insurance companies are going to charge more for homes. Like postal code will come into factor, right, of the crime rates in the area, those kinds of things. So it's probably a good idea to check that anytime.
Yeah, of course, all the time. It's just standard practice of budgeting. Know how much money it's going to cost you to live at your new house every single month, and It's something that, you know, when you're working with a realtor or hiring the right realtor, they'll put you in the right direction. And so call me.
Yeah. That's why I love doing the Golfi Real Estate Show, because I've bought many houses over the years, and never have I learned, you know, as you mentioned at the top of the show, you know, doing that walkthrough in the day or day before you do the closing, those kinds of things. Or no realtor ever said to me, oh, you should check how much the insurance is. So yeah, like you said, I mean, it is a common sense, but buying a house is it's one of the most stressful, it's the biggest decision you're ever going to make in terms of purchasing in your life. So it makes sense to have somebody that knows what they're doing. And when you're excited about things, your brain isn't necessarily going to be in the most common sense mode.
That's right. You need a trusted professional, and it goes for anything. Is you know, what is your, and I call it a circle of trust. We all have our contractors, we have our mortgage person, we have our real estate agent, we have our lawyer. Build out that circle of trust to be able to lean on people for specific decisions, and you know, make sure that circle of trust is you have access to them all the time, because you're going to have questions, not just when you're buying or selling, but you're going to have questions about the market. You're going to have questions about how much property values are in a specific neighborhood or your neighborhood. And whether it's a legal question or a contracting question, build that circle of trust, build those relationships, and they're going to point you in the right direction to help you make the best informed decisions. So, and that's one thing that we want to do is build, you know, obviously build our relationships and be in other people's circles of trust to help them make better informed decisions. And when it comes time for them to, you know, whether it's a question or whether they're buying or selling a house, we want to be the main informant and the main contact for them when that time's right. And that's one of the things that, you know, one of the reasons why we do this show. We get to talk about it every week. There's people that listen to us every week, and we're happy to share our information. We're happy to share our market insights and our tools and tips and stories. And it's a good opportunity for everybody to learn from. So we're super excited about that. And like I said, if you're looking for someone to help or need a question answered, please don't hesitate to reach out to obviously Devin on the contracting landscaping side, or me in the real estate side.
Well, thanks so much for letting us into your circle today. You can give the Golfi team a call at 905-641-0308. Devin from Land Art Landscaping, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you, Phil.
Yeah, of course. Always a pleasure. I need to get on the show more.
Absolutely. You got to wrestle that mic away from Rob. This is the Golfi Real Estate Show on News Talk 610 CKTV.